Hi everyone, it's John. Welcome back to my channel. I've mentioned the past couple of videos that I am trying to catch up on new books that have come into my library and also catch up on reviews. This is going to be more books that have come into my library. During the month of May, a publisher that I like but that has its problems, which I will mention during the course of the video, Verso Publishers had a site-wide 50% off sale, which I did not announce on my channel because I realized it's not for everyone, and then I thought better of it come June 1st, once it was over. I will try to let everyone know in the future when they have sales. But they had a month-long celebration of May Day, I think. So everything there was 50% off. Um, I won't be linking their information below. I have some issues with them. One of them is they just have horrible customer service. You can you can email them about a question about an order that you have placed and wait easily 2 or 3 or 4 weeks for a response. And they have also revamped their website over the last couple of months. And in the website changeover, all of the subscriptions, I was a subscribing member, so I got 50% off everything all year round, which is great because it's only $10 a month. So if you spend more than $20 on books there a month, you get your money back, essentially. And when they did that website switchover, they lost everyone's information and all the subscriptions. And when you tried to resubscribe to the new website, you didn't get your 50% discount. They claim that that is back now, but I'm still seething from it. So I'll see if I want to rejoin one day. But they do have some fascinating stuff. So I bought 5 things, and I'll push through my frustration. They have this wonderful series called the History Series, the Verso World History Series. And they look like this. They have this sort of pale yellow cover thing with art, right? And this is by R.H. Tawney. It is one of the classics of economic history. It's from the 20s, 1926, I think. And this is their reprint of his Religion and the Rise of Capitalism, which obviously has some resonance with perhaps the more famous work by Max Weber, the Protestant work ethic and the spirit of capitalism. But this is, which in fact was kind of written around the same time. So this is sort of looks at how economic and social practice influences religion, how they work back and forth with one another, with some attention to detail about technological history and ideas about changes in consciousness and intellectual ideas. It's just a good cultural history, starting from the late Middle Ages and going up through through the Renaissance, when book publishing really started to kick off. At least I think that's where it is. I mean, I haven't looked at any of them in too much detail. And then I got one other from the same World History series. I'm less familiar with how popular it is in its area. I know the Tawny is extremely popular, but this is The Impact of Printing from 1450 to 1800 by Lucien Febvre and Henri Jean Martin. And the same sort of idea, but just with the arrival of the book. So, talks about economic, technological history, sociology, anthropology, and the study of consciousness itself to root the development of printing in the changing social relations and ideological struggles of Western Europe. The back material of this book kind of hints at changing social relations, ideological struggles, kind of hints at what Verso is all about. I didn't say that in my opening spiel. Verso is very much a left of center, certainly left of what Americans would consider center politically. So they publish a lot of socialism. They publish a lot of books by Marxist scholars, stuff like that. And again, not all of it is that, but that is one of their focuses. So when you find a lot of intellectual or cultural history like this at Verso, a lot of the times it will be from a scholar who has either, is working from Marxist methodological assumptions, who is ultimately interested in class structure and economic structure and how that drives technological and social and cultural change, or from some other brand of left of center thought. They're certainly not all Marxists, but these do look at like economic and cultural changes and how that drives other sorts of change. So, and it also just looked fascinating. It's about early modernity, and I love that kind of stuff. So, and along the same lines of left of center thought, we'll continue with a whole school, kind of like a group biography, like, at least from what I understand. This is Grand Hotel Abyss, The Lives of the Frankfurt School by Stuart Jeffries. And the Frankfurt School was a group of maybe, well, so certainly the major figures were German. The major figures being Walter Benjamin, Max Horkheimer, Theodor Adorno, and who am I forgetting? Herbert Marcuse. But they were really, really important from, the 20s through the 50s and 60s. They were really tied up in the last decade or so with some of the student movements of the 60s. And there's a second generation of Frankfurt School thinkers that include people like Jürgen Habermas, who is still alive and still working well into his 90s. But the Frankfurt thinkers, the Frankfurt School was a school of critical philosophy, which is a very broad brush to describe approaches, schools of thought that try to use ideas and historical approaches to get at the root of what created society's power structures and why society is shaped the way it is, has the hierarchies it does, etc. So you can see how it is ultimately sort of a tool to understand how power works. And out of this school came, a good set of approaches. For example, The Dialectic of Enlightenment by Horkheimer and Adorno, maybe one of the most famous texts that came out of the entire school, published during World War II. Fascinating thesis in that book, but this is sort of a group biography of those thinkers. And two more. I was just going through books that had that looked interesting, needless to say, but also had really good Goodreads reviews and sort of smart Goodreads reviews. This was Revolution, an Intellectual History by Enzo Traverso. And this kind of looks at this isn't a history of revolutions. It's, let me just read you the opening paragraph. I promise I won't read you everything. Walter Benjamin compared revolution to nuclear fission, a blast capable of liberating and multiplying the energies contained in the past. This book does not tell the history of revolutions in chronological sequence. It interprets them as collective eruptions that destroy the established order and then open new horizons of expectation. They are factories of utopias. Enzo Traverso rehabilitates the concept of revolution as a key to understanding our modernity, not only its social and political structures, but also its ideas and collective imagination, even its aesthetic forms. This means apprehending revolution's intellectual and emotional dimensions, which are deposited in texts and images, theories and experiences, material heritages, and collective memories. So that looks interesting. And one last book. This is sort of one of the canonical texts in a subclass of studies called, I guess, race studies. This is, in the 90s, a subsection of race studies came up called whiteness studies. And this was one of the founding texts of that sort of group of intellectual endeavors, I guess. And this is something an author I've never read, obviously a book I've never read. It's David R. Roediger's The Wages of Whiteness, Race and the Making of the American Working Class, which obviously, probably by the title there, you could tell Roediger is a Marxist, looking at how race and class are deeply interconnected. At least he claims so. So those are 5 books that I got from Verso and my discontents with them as well. They also sometimes publish on this paper. This isn't going to come across on a camera, but this paper that's maybe only a step up or two from newspaper print, which they at least have relatively inexpensive books, but and it doesn't smear or anything like newspaper print does, but I just wish the cardstock was a bit better. That's all. Okay, I'll leave that here with all my, like I said, complaints. I will see everyone later. Bye.